What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning into yet another episode of Yards Per Fantasy. I am your host, Kevin Brumley. Make sure before we get into this, you guys drop a like, drop a comment what you guys think about the video, and make sure you subscribe, man. We're always cranking out some great videos. Check out some of our writers, man, that they're having some really interesting in-depth articles about fantasy football at Yards Per Fantasy. The link will be in the description to the video. So definitely check us out. Just show us some love, guys. What I'm talking about today is I'm continuing to talk about some dynasty receivers I like, and I'm going all the way down to Houston, and I want to talk about their wide receiver core of who I like the most. Now, they lost Deandre Hopkins, right? With DeAndre Hopkins, he's one of the absolute premier receivers in this game. When he left, he also left 150 targets on the table. Now, when I had JJ Zacharyson on, we talked, in depth about how it's not always straightforward with targets. It's not that, those 150 targets are guaranteed to stay and they're going to be dispersed or one guy's going to get a majority of them. It's not how it works. But when we look at that wide receiver core, we see they have Will Fuller, they have Brandon Cooks, they have Kiki Kuti, they have Kenny Stills, they got Randall Cobb. So the question is, man, is it going to be evenly dispersed? Are we going to see, a lot of guys with around that, 75, 80 targets, or are we going to see one guy kind of lead the pack? I think it is going to be a little bit more even, but I think the guy who's going to be the go-to guy down in Houston is Will Fuller. So when I talk about Will Fuller, man, I get the downfalls, and we'll get to that in a second. But I just feel like he's the most talented receiver of that group. When we look at Will Fuller, throughout his career, he's averaged 6.1 targets a game, which would essentially be 100 targets a season if he played a full season. And that's not taking into account the games that Will Fuller has dressed and played in, but he's clearly been hampered with, a hamstring or some kind of soft tissue injury where he's clearly been a decoy. So, Watson likes to target his guy. He's a big play waiting to happen. We're talking about a legit 4-3 guy. Now, when I say the downfalls, we all know it. Will Fuller cannot stay on the field, okay? We've seen him miss a lot of games throughout his career. I mean, you have to ask yourself, can Will Fuller stay healthy? Is this the season that, he actually plays a full 16 or at least really close to it? Now, when I look at the ADPs overall and just for the position, Will Fuller's being taken as wide receiver 36. He's being taken 86th overall. The value you're paying right there, it's baked in that he's going to get hurt. Okay, if we knew he was going to play a full 16, his ADP would not be that high. I mean, ask yourself the question, what if Will Fuller doesn't get hurt? What numbers can we expect him to put up? When we're talking about dynasty football, I think on a skill basis, and some people might give me some flack for it, I think he's very similar to a DK Metcalf, where he's athletically very, very gifted. He's not as big and strong as DK, but dude's lightning fast. I think he's a little bit more crafty as far as a route runner than DK. And we see that DK is going 51 overall. So 3.5 rounds later, you can get Will Fuller instead of DK Metcalf. Now, I know if it's dynasty or redraft, I know some people are talking, they're real high on Brandon Cooks. My problem with Brandon Cooks is he has suffered 5 concussions that we know about in 6 seasons. I never wish injury upon somebody, obviously. I don't know the guy, but he could be one play, one hit away from his career being over or his season being over. I get that Will Fuller's banged up a lot, but when Will Fuller's hurt, it's a lot of soft tissue injuries. And that's part of, just kind of bad luck more than anything else. I mean, even with those concussions, Cooks hasn't missed a ton of games. It's not nearly as lengthy as Will Fuller's injury history, but it's also more scary, if that makes sense. Fuller, like I said, he's a 4.32 guy at the combine. He's 6 foot. He's got good size. And like I said, I feel like he's been under the radar, because he's been inconsistent as far as staying on the field. He's been getting better as a wide receiver, not just relying on his speed to get him over the top. I think Houston's defense is taking a step back. So I expect Houston to be playing behind in some of these games. that means they're going to be airing the ball out more. They could be getting Duke Johnson, David Johnson a little bit more involved, which, makes sense, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. But with Will Fuller averaging 6.1 targets with DeAndre Hopkins playing on the other side, it's not crazy to think that number could go up to, 7, 8. And now we're talking about if he plays a full season, he's going to be target-wise one of the premier receivers in the league. We've seen him with that target share and with his limited playing be a big play threat. Deshaun Watson's one of the few bright spots that Houston has. They've made some real head-scratching moves as far as trading, your Jadeveon Clowney, Laramie Tunsil, those kinds of things. And we're not going to get too in-depth into, as far as a franchise, what they're doing. But they're going to want to air it out with Watson because he's one of the best in the game for a reason. And with that being said, maybe it does dilute out where it's all pretty much even. But still, with that being said, if Will Fuller just averages what he's averaged for his career, I expect him to put up numbers if he can stay healthy. And that's a big if. But when we look at that, 86 overall ADP, sign me up because I'm going all in on this, man. Because like I said, it's baked in that he's going to miss 2-3 games. Even if he does, I still feel like 86 is going to be a steal as far as his overall ADP. And guys, you can thank me later. I hope you guys liked the episode. Like I said, if you guys liked it, please click like and subscribe and just show us some love over at Yards Per Fantasy. We try to do anything we can for you guys. So drop a comment of what you guys thought and drop a comment of what you guys want to see us talk about or, what you guys might want to see an article written about. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in and we'll see you guys next time.